In the winter of 1858, a poor 14-year-old girl named Bernadette Soubirous walked toward the cold grotto of Massabielle, unaware that silence, poverty, and faith were about to intersect in a way that would quietly reshape Catholic history forever in the Pyrenees. She was uneducated, physically weak, and socially invisible. Yet in that ordinary moment near Lourdes, the ordinary dissolved. What followed would not arrive with spectacle or command, but with stillness, humility, and a presence that asked only prayer and attention. Bernadette later described seeing a small lady, radiant yet gentle, standing calmly within the rocky hollow. There was no threat, no promise of reward, no demand for belief, only a peace that contrasted sharply with her harsh and fragile daily existence. As days passed in 1858, the girl returned again and again to the grotto. Villagers noticed. Curiosity spread slowly, tangled with doubt and fear. Long before miracles were spoken of, Lourdes became a place of uncomfortable questions and uneasy watching. The encounters did not end quickly. They returned with discipline and restraint, not excess or excitement. Over time, the lady appeared 18 distinct times, each moment measured, quiet, and consistent, never seeking attention for herself or elevation for Bernadette. Saint Bernadette did not change in status or comfort. She remained poor, questioned, and physically frail. What grew heavier was the pressure surrounding her. As crowds gathered, officials interrogated her, and her silence became harder to protect. Then came a turning point that would anchor the events of Lourdes firmly within Catholic doctrine. When asked her name, the lady did not choose poetic language or familiar devotion, but spoke a precise title few expected to hear. "I am the Immaculate Conception," the lady declared. The words stunned Bernadette herself, who barely understood their meaning, yet repeated them faithfully. For theologians, the phrase carried weight far beyond a child's imagination. In 1858, this declaration aligned perfectly with a doctrine formally defined only years earlier by the Church. For an uneducated girl to speak such words accurately unsettled skeptics and forced clergy to pause, listen, and investigate with caution. Before healings, before pilgrimages, before worldwide devotion, Lourdes began with a name spoken softly to a poor child. In that moment, faith was not demanded through fear, but invited through clarity, humility, and quiet truth. Bernadette Soubirous was born into poverty, illness, and obscurity long before 1858 brought attention to her name. Asthma weakened her body, hardships shaped her days, and faith was learned quietly, without education, influence, or expectation of recognition. After the visions began in 1858, Bernadette's personal life did not improve. She was questioned relentlessly, examined by doctors, pressured by civil authorities, and doubted by neighbors. The Church itself approached carefully, refusing haste, spectacle, or emotional enthusiasm. Church authorities understood the danger of illusion and deception. Testimony was recorded, language analyzed, consistency examined. Bernadette was not celebrated, but observed. Her humility, repetition, and refusal to embellish details slowly distinguished her account from rumor or imagination. One detail especially troubled investigators. Bernadette used theological language she could not have learned. The phrase Immaculate Conception was not common speech, especially for a poor, uneducated girl living far from academic or clerical circles. In 1854, Pope Pius IX formally defined the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception. Only 4 years later, in 1858, the same title was spoken at Lourdes. The chronological precision deeply impressed theologians and strengthened serious ecclesial investigation. Bernadette herself never claimed authority. She did not explain doctrine or demand belief. She repeated what she heard, exactly as spoken. This restraint aligned with how the Church historically distinguishes genuine apparitions from emotionally driven religious excitement. Medical commissions were later established to evaluate reported healings connected to Lourdes. These investigations applied strict criteria, requiring documentation, long-term observation, and consensus among experts. The Church deliberately separated Bernadette's visions from sensational or exaggerated claims. In 1862, after years of examination, the Bishop of Tarbes officially recognized the apparitions as worthy of belief. This decision did not rely on emotion, popularity, or pressure, but on consistency, doctrinal harmony, and sustained investigative caution. Saint Bernadette did not remain at Lourdes as a public figure. She withdrew into religious life, choosing obscurity over admiration. Her later years were marked by suffering and silence, reinforcing the Church's judgment that ambition had never guided her testimony. By the time Bernadette died, Lourdes had become a global site of pilgrimage, prayer, and hope. Yet the Church remembered that everything began not with power or spectacle, but with obedience, precision, and a truth quietly entrusted to a child. As the story of Lourdes reached the wider world, pilgrims arrived carrying pain, hope, and unanswered prayers, not demanding proof but seeking mercy, silence, peace, and presence. Believing that something gentle had touched earth in 1858 and never truly left within the human heart, many who came to Lourdes spoke of no vision at all, only an interior stillness, a lifting of fear or strength to endure illness, suggesting that the greatest miracle was not spectacle, but conversion quietly unfolding inside wounded lives across time and generations. The Church never claimed that Lourdes eliminated suffering from the world, yet it affirmed that grace could enter suffering without destroying it, reshaping pain into trust, patience, and prayer, especially for those who arrived feeling forgotten by God and others around them daily. Saint Bernadette herself warned against chasing wonders, reminding visitors that prayer, repentance, and humility mattered more than signs, and that faith rooted in obedience would endure when emotions faded and crowds eventually moved elsewhere across seasons of life and trial for generations. Over decades, Lourdes became less about Bernadette and more about what her obedience revealed, a pattern seen throughout Christian history, where God chooses the small, the poor, and the overlooked to speak enduring truths that confront pride and invite repentance within every age. In times of doubt, scandal, or fatigue, Lourdes continues to whisper rather than shout, offering not arguments, but a place to kneel, remember doctrine, and rediscover a God who acts without forcing belief upon wounded consciences and weary souls seeking rest and direction. For believers today, the message of 1858 remains unchanged. Holiness grows in silence. Truth does not contradict the Church, and Mary always leads away from herself toward Christ, prayer, and faithful endurance amid suffering, confusion, and hope across generations worldwide today. Still, every candle lit at Lourdes echoes that first quiet encounter, reminding pilgrims that God's greatest works often arrive gently, asking for response rather than applause, fidelity rather than excitement, and perseverance rather than immediate answers from hearts tested by time and sorrow. The Church's careful discernment did not diminish devotion. It protected it, ensuring that faith rested on truth rather than fantasy, and that Lourdes would remain a place where reason and reverence walked together without fear or manipulation for future pilgrims everywhere. As this story closes, Lourdes does not ask you to believe blindly, but to consider whether humility, obedience, and grace still speak today, and whether, like Bernadette, A quiet yes might open unexpected paths within your own life journey of faith and prayer.